Okay guys, here is an explanation of the answers for these latest lab quizzes about climate. I've had several requests about folks being totally confused, which is okay. The point of these questions was for you to use your applied knowledge. Okay, these weren't a simple look up the answer type of question. The whole point of these was for you to think. You're going to have to think and apply all the knowledge that we've already learned and that you've got at hand to figure out the puzzles of these questions. Things that you have in place to help you with this, first off, is just knowing what the major climate classification criteria are, which is on your study guide 3 here, talking about basically, the temperature parameters. It was on the bottom of your previous quiz down here, guidelines for determining the major climate classifications. Okay, so that's information that you have readily available that will help you. I also had told you guys to have access to some type of map, because we're going to look up where these places are, all right, and see if they're on the coast, in the middle of a continent, if they're in the tropics, if they're in polar regions, if they're in mid-latitudes, things like this. So you have to look at that, because that's going to have a play as to things come in. All right, and I will point out some other stuff that we have talked about. So the first question was asking about Kochi, India, and the fact that it's a monsoon. All right, of course, this is also based off of you having the data sheets that I gave you right here. All right, and so this one was talking about the Kochi, which is this one right here. This is not my adapted one, but anyway, so here's your set of data, all right, with your temperature and precip. So, we were looking at that, and of course the question is telling you, you already know this is monsoon, all right? I told you this was a monsoon climate that we have right here. And the question is talking about in your normal summer months, all right, May, June, July, August, September, is normally gonna be your hottest months, just about everywhere. Now, granted, this is in the tropics, so we don't exactly have, summer, wintertime temperatures going on, but there's a little bit of fluctuation. And in the high sun months, which is equivalent of the summer, it's when the sun is the highest point in the sky, because it's going to be closest to it, all right, or it's tilted toward the sun at that time. It's generally going to be, at least a few degrees hotter. But here we're noticing that these months are cooler, by only a degree or two, all right? But that's actually hotter here in March, April, and May. And then June, July, and August is cooler by about 4 or 5 degrees. And that was the question, was why? Well, we know this is a monsoon. And this is the area, Kochi. Let me show you. You guys remember this? Pictures and stuff here talking about the big Asian monsoon when it comes through. Kochi is right here on the west coast, all right? Down here in the very southwest part of India, all right? And of course, in the summer months, when the winds are blowing from the south to the north, this is part of, it's just a land sea breeze type thing going on, and it's also reinforced by having the ITCZ is up at this area during this time of year, all right? But again, the point is, it's a wet monsoon. We have talked about this, the wet monsoon. You can tell by looking back at this area here. Look at all, this is what, over 3 feet of rain or whatever like that that's going on, or, over this point of time. And so the question is, why is it slightly cooler then when it's normally hotter? All right, and just knowing what your answers were, we're dealing with the actual rain clouds and evaporation. And we know that things that affect temperature, okay, we know clouds can reflect insulation and keep it from reaching the ground, all right? So that's usually a way, it's usually cooler on a on a cloudy day than it is on a sunny day. All right. And then we also know that evaporation has a cooling effect. That's why when sweat evaporates off your body, or when you get out of the shower and you're wet, you feel colder due to the evaporation going on. And so it makes sense that in this area that it's going to be a combination of both of these things. The cloud cover is going to keep it from getting quite as hot, and also you've got evaporation going on from all that monsoon flooding that we know occurs. All right, so that means a lot of that. So that's going to equal out to cooler temperatures. So that's the reason that C, the combo of those, is the answer. So again, you're looking at multiple reasons to figure out this puzzle. It's a little detective type thing. All right, so talking about the arids. Now, number one, we know these are all arid. All right, because it's underneath the arid classification. So the first one's talking about Kamloops. All right, so I had told you to be sure and look these places up. Not only look them up on a map, all right, and Kamloops, I'm trying to look through things. It's in this area right over here. All right, it's up here in Northwest America. All right, our Pacific Northwest. And this is, this area is normally the marine west coast of the mesothermal, all right, which is the cloudiest, foggiest, rainiest of the area, and normally has lots and lots of, the temperate rainforests and things like this. Again, you're supposed to be looking up some examples of this. Just good old Wikipedia is a good place to look, all right? But Kamloops, right smack dab in the middle of this, and it's not too far off. I mean, it's not right on the coast, but it's definitely not in the middle of the continent either, all right? Why is it a dry climate? Well, if you look it up, you will notice that it is in some mountains. And one of the reasons, why things can be dry climates is, of course, land barriers, mountains. This is in the mountains, and so it's not a difficult guess to figure out that it's a rain shadow. Okay, that's why it's a dry area in the middle of a very normally wet climate. All right, so you put those two and two together. All right. Now, number 3, talking about the Kashgar area in China. The question is, it tells you it's got a very large temperature range, which you can see by looking at the data here. All right, so we've got 22 all the way up to 80. So that's a big temperature range on a yearly basis. Okay, and so I was asking, what's the best explanation for that? All right, you can see that its latitude here is 39 degrees north, so we're in the mid-latitudes. Where it is on the map, if you guys bothered to, if you look it up, it's right over here in this area, all right? So we're in the middle of, right smack dab in the mid-latitudes, all right? And also pretty, smack dab in the middle of the Asian continent over here, all right? So we got those two things going on. And so